So welcome, Dan. Very lucky to have you on here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, good stuff. Now, yeah, would you be able just to kind of introduce yourself for people watching?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Daniel. I run Automation X, which started off being a automation agency, so building automations for people, and has transitioned more into an AI lead generation company. We still do a load of automations, but we now kind of do more of a 50-50 split across what we're building at the moment.
Okay, yeah, lovely stuff. So you work primarily kind of in the AI. You're using, Make a lot of stuff surrounding that. Did you ever have any mentors or anything like that?
I kind of did, but not really.
Yeah.
I was chatting to a guy. I was looking at basically doing another business model. So my background was in e-commerce. I still have three e-commerce stores that I run, selling performance car parts. I got to the point where to kind of grow any further, I'd have to kind of start reaching out to different markets, selling it for different cars. The main focus is in BMW and then some of the Volkswagen Audi group. Um, so to kind of grow any further than the kind of cap I was at, I was doing about 250K um, with that. And to kind of grow any further than that, I would have to kind of look outside of the market. All of that was all fully organic, so the margins on it was pretty good. But I was looking at what else I could do with better margins of like 70%
Yeah.
plus, which is the kind of space that we're in now. Um, so I got chatting to a couple of people about what I could do, and somebody suggested a agency model. Um, I didn't particularly want to do a marketing agency and do paid ads and stuff like that. I don't really know why. I think it's because I was worried that it'd be oversaturated, like everyone there bleats on about, which is not the case. But I ended up going down the automations and building automations for people. So I learned the skills and started implementing it first for myself. So automating the ecom stores. So now if somebody orders anything, it gets automatically fulfilled. An email goes out to the supplier, and then that gets sent out. So I was able to build basically my first couple of case studies on myself, and then from there, it kind of supported me transitioning over to fully doing this now.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And where you at now in terms of kind of like monthly revenue?
With the agency or in total?
Or probably yeah, just total.
Total, we do around 30K a month with um, the e-com stores, and then doing about the same, if not a little bit more, with the agency as well.
Okay, that's massive, bro. That's massive. And you know what's so crazy about Dan is the fact that he never had a kind of, I don't know, clear mental. You never went down that kind of that route. And almost everyone I know who's hit 10K, let alone 30K a month, or probably combined, you're around 60 now, has had a mentor, right? I barely meet anyone who's got that far without a mentor. So that's very, very interesting stuff. And in terms of the type of people you serve at the moment with your kind of AI infrastructure, you get a lot of clients off TikTok, and from
Yeah.
what you've told me, it's very varied. You're not very niche selective. So you work with PR agencies. I think I
Mhm.
remember you telling me you work with like a cricket club or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, do you just want to elaborate on the cricket club? I think that's really interesting how you managed to like or what you delivered for them, basically.
Yeah, so I mean, it massively varies what kind of people we have coming. So the TikToks that I post, I literally just post automation builds that we're doing, depending on what kind of day of the week it is. The lead generation stuff as well. We have niched down the lead generation a little bit more now and do our own outreach to generate those leads, just so that we can scale it a bit more. But I book anywhere between 5 to 10 meetings a week just purely by posting what I'm up to, what I'm building on TikTok. So yeah, we end up with all sorts of people. Like we've got e-commerce brands that are selling physical products all the way through to other agency owners, through to kind of all sorts. And for the automation side of it, we're just building them custom automations. So it started off just being me. I've now got three guys that I outsource all of my automations to. A couple of them on retainers, clients on retainers, which nicely pays for all of them every month. So it's just a nice balance between the two and kind of bringing in the revenue in different ways.
Okay, yeah, lovely stuff. And how big's your team at the moment?
So on, I've got three for building the automations. To be honest, they're more kind of like a freelance. We've got one that's full time, but the freelancers are pretty much full time with us as well. But it's just basically to kind of save how we're paying them. And then for the lead generation side, I've got a two on that end, but that's much more automated. The reason we ended up going to the lead generation kind of space was because we were building these automations anyway. So we had people coming to us being like, "Oh, like to learn how to we could automate these lead generation systems." So we've done everything from calendar invites that are sent out to random people with information about what it is that they're doing, and then booking them back in for actual real calendar events, which was working for a printer company.
Mm.
So they were selling printer contracts, and they'd basically reach out with an event and say, like, would you be interested in us doing, like, when you're, sorry, it would reach out being like, oh, your printer contract's coming up. You asked us to book a meeting for this time. 9 times out of 10, you would get a response. Some of them would be like, no, our printer contract's in February. Um, as people are very happy to prove you wrong, which then means they can log that data, and in February they know that they need to reach out because they've got a printer contract renewing. So really clever way. And then obviously they did get quite a few that say like, yeah, absolutely, we do need to renew it, we need to sort it out, and they would get in that way. So it was a win-win. They were to collect the data and then also book meetings all the way through to custom building sales decks and sending them out to people and sharing them and stuff like that. So we've done pretty much everything in between, even AI video. So we have all of these tools pre-built, cold email and so on. We started using them for ourselves and then basically decided to offer that as a service package. So our lead generation is all fully organic. We don't do any ads or anything like that. We just use systems that we've built for other people. We've got AI cold callers now and all sorts. So massive variety, but we get people in
Yeah. And,
service.
what's your opinion on the kind of AI cold callers in terms I presume you don't use them for outbound, you use them for kind of the service delivery side, right?
So we are doing voicemail drops using AI. So each voicemail gets left saying like, "Hi, name." We do a variety of different ones, but it's normally along the lines of like, "Can you give me a call back?" Sometimes we give them a bit of a pitch about the offer, and then when they phone that number back, they get handed over to an AI.
Wow.
Normally, we're just kind of using it to judge how interested they are, but we can send like 100 of these voicemails out every 10 minutes. So our real limit is the number of phone numbers we can get a hold of and just drop them a load of voicemails. Off the back of that, we get people phoning back in, and then the AI pitches them. If it gets them interested and books in, then brilliant, they're booked in, sorted. Um, if not, then it just pushes them for like we can look back through the
Mhm.
calls, have a look at transcriptions and stuff like that, and find who was somewhat interested, but the AI couldn't quite close them, and then we'll just manually phone them up.
Interesting, interesting. So what I would say is, 2023 was the year of cold calling. 2024 was the year where we start to see cold SMS emerge. Do you think 2025 is the year of voicemail drops and that's going to be the new meta for outreach strategies?
It will be interesting. We were looking at the stats because we've got a team of cold callers as well, less AI based. We've got some
Yeah.
real ones as well, and we were closing something like I might completely bodge these numbers, but I think it was 3 and 50 for inbound calls. We got booked meetings, and for the same, we'd have to be doing like 200 to 300 outbound calls. So when they were phoning back, whether they'd listened to the voicemail or not, they were booked in much easier. So even if you were to just use it for a normal organic cold calling team, it
Mm.
still outperformed just you phoning up random people.
So just to be clear, so the AI did 300, around 2 to 300 voicemail drops, and then it got around 50 callbacks and then three book calls without you having to lift a finger, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That is incredible. That is incredible. And then what's kind of the cost for that?
It depends how much AI you want to use. I think we're paying 7 cents a minute for the caller. the AI caller, which is like nothing. So there's massive legs on that to kind of scale it. The voicemail drop's slightly more expensive, but we are doing like AI is sending all of these messages, so it's crafting the messages out and saying like um, what it is that we're up to and stuff like that. Um,
Nice.
like personalizing the messages, so each AI one uses is actually a clone of my voice, but it drops messages like personalized to each individual. So that we found that that performs slightly better. Um, but we are kind of showing that off because we're doing it for AI lead generation. If you were doing it for a normal company, you could just pre-record a message being like, "Hi, can you give me a phone back?" and just send that, and it'll be way cheaper. But it's kind of like we're preaching what we're well, practicing what we're preaching.
And in terms of delivering these, super cheap like meetings via voicemail drops and AI callers, are you using a combination of Make and Vappy? Just giving a bit of source for the people here.
Yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. So Vape, there's loads and loads of alternatives. But yeah, using mate.com to basically extract that data afterwards. So all of the calls within Vappy and whichever tool you're using, you can extract the transcript version of and then feed that data out of.
Nice, nice. And do you kind of provide any snapshots for that via your social media profiles that people can have a look at, or is you got to pay for that, right?
That one's yeah, that one's a premium. But yeah, I do post quite a few of the snapshots of what we're doing that you can just upload and download into your Make account and start running these.
Interesting. Now, yeah, whilst we were speaking about the things that were going to be successful in 2024 and 2025, so we obviously had the SMS, then we had the voicemail drops. But one thing that is really blowing up at the moment is, Iman Gadzhi's pushing it. Everyone else is pushing it really hard. Is personal brand, right? I'm sure you've seen Iman Gadzhi banging on about the one thing that's going to completely change your life. Obviously, we now know it's personal brand, but how would you say your personal brand, the one that you built on TikTok, you've amassed 2,000 followers there, has kind of helped you in your career?
It has been absolutely incredible to say. Like, I think it's 3,300 followers I've got at the time of this, which is like nothing really. But off the back of that, I've been invited to partner with people to set up VC companies. I've had so many opportunities come as a result of it, let alone boatloads of business. Um, I mean, we're making like more than 20, £30 per follower at the minute, which is just phenomenal. If you just sit and think about it, every time I get a follower, I'm like rubbing my hands together, being like, yeah. But I think it's going to be a race to provide as much value as you can. It's not about kind of just posting rubbish. There is an element of that. Like I've noticed if I post a TikTok in my car and you can see the full glass roof, people watch it for longer and stuff like that. Even if you
Yeah,
don't consciously know, like, oh, this person knows what he's doing, he's sat in a nice car. Whether that's conscious or subconscious, it makes big differences. So there's little things like that that just like you need to be aware of when you're doing it. Um, but yeah, it's well worth doing. I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
yeah, no, 100%. Some of the easiest money that you can ever make. What car do you have, by the way?
I've got a couple of BMWs. I bought the missus a Range Rover. The first month I hit 10K. I spent way more than that on her on a Range Rover on the first month,
Okay.
which was an
So
interesting idea, but never mind.
yeah, yeah. Wait, so you wake up, you walk out your house, you've got an array of beamers, and then you've got a range sitting outside your house, right?
Yeah.
You think that positively affects your work ethic and motivates you every time you see that, basically outdoor garage outside your house. Does that motivate you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it is nice. I mean, the missus drives it to and from work, but when I take it out or going shopping or whatever, in it, it's such a pleasure to drive, and it's actually like more the fact that she gets to enjoy this every day as a result of like doing the work. It makes it's I mean it's all worth it anyway, but it makes it feel really worthwhile. Putting
Yeah.
in this extra graft, doing those 12-hour, 14-hour days, um, to
Mm.
just kind of get to that point.
Yeah. Interesting, interesting. And so obviously, I just want to go back to the fact that you did this with very little guidance, and you're one in probably 1,000, right, of people who've done this without a mentor. Now, That's more impressive. You know, everyone knows I've probably had several mentors by now. I've actually had three. One in the crypto space, one in two in SMMA. But yeah, what do you think separates you from the other thousand that haven't got successful by themselves?
I think a lot of it's doing the reps, and with that, it's also reflecting on what the results of that was. I don't think you can really move forwards without looking at what you've already done and whether or not it worked. Um, for me, it was TikTok has helped massively. It's been so great for like when there's times where I'm like, maybe I'll try lead generation and see if people would be interested in a package like that. Like the first however many calls, I was still finding my feet, knowing what to do. But people were coming to me trusting my judgment because they'd seen so much of the content that I'd already posted and stuff that was out there that it built a level of trust with them that means that kind of like I had room to make errors and like I could change what I was offering and like build these different things around it. At the end of the day, I still got meetings booked without having to posting two TikToks a day, but it just meant that kind of like that growth was available and it was just a bit of a like a safety that worst case if I cock up and get my all of my email accounts burned, which I've done plenty of times. Um, I've still got meetings coming in. I've still got people who want to do work with me, and then obviously all of the other business opportunities that have come off the back of it.
Yeah. What would you say to, the average doctor, accountant, trainee, lawyer between the ages of, 22 to 27 who are watching this, hearing that, you're posting two TikToks a day and you're on something like 60K a month? What would you say to them in terms of how would you even go about getting started and in creating kind of an empire that you have?
I think the main thing to say is it's not for everyone. Like some people will be happy doing that forevermore. It just was never something that interested me. If I'm not moving forwards at a million miles an hour, it doesn't interest me. So I've always had that itch to kind of do something and get going. Um, but I think I think a mentor is something that I would have really actually looked into if I was to do this again. Just the how far it can leapfrog you, just having that information. Like I post TikToks or and stuff like that around stuff that's taken me months to learn, and I'm telling you in a 30-second TikTok. Like that amount of value that you can have is so phenomenal that it would take you months of sitting in pain and trying to
Hmm.
make it work, and somebody can literally just click their fingers and tell you how to do it. Don't get me wrong, I've been told stuff and then looked back and been like, oh yeah, they were right, but I've completely ignored that information because I haven't fallen and made those mistakes.
Hmm.
But reflecting on that is a massive part of it because if you don't realize why you've fallen and it's all gone terribly wrong, then like you're not going to be able to move any further forwards with it.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and it's interesting how content is such a big thing nowadays, right? I actually saw the head of Gymshark. What's his name? I believe it's called Ben.
Yes, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying you don't need a personal brand to be successful in this modern day and age. And I looked at the comments on this. He posted this literally a day ago, and the comments were like, "Times have changed. You're completely wrong. You're outdated." What was your kind of opinions on, it being mandatory to have a personal brand?
Good question. I don't think mandatory is kind of. I don't think it's necessarily essential. I think you can succeed without it, but I think having even just that bit of trust, like sending over a video before you meet with someone so that they've met you and built that trust. If you boil it down enough, it's just exposure to that person that makes you like them. Obviously, you can dislike them for other reasons, but more impressions that you make to someone, the more trust that you build. I have people like the warmest of the leads that come through from TikTok are the ones that have been following me for months. And they've been like,
Yeah.
I've seen thousands of your videos, and like I had a call this morning and it got to the end of it and they were like, so like, how much is this going to be? And I didn't even really have to hesitate on the price, and they were just like, oh yeah, if you think that's going to work, then yeah, absolutely. Try and build that trust any other way than through
Mm,
loads and loads of repetitive content and like building this trust that like I give away so much stuff on
you
TikTok
do. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Anyone who hasn't checked out his Danex automation, and like this is an absolute gold mine. So yeah, go and check that out, guys, for sure. But obviously there's going to be a lot of people who are kind of watching this video who are sort of in your position, I guess, I don't know, maybe 1, 2, 3 years ago, on that 1K per month, or maybe they've just quit their job, or maybe they've been saving up and they've got a couple grand spare. What would be the first 5 actions that you would essentially assign them to do to ensure their growth as quick as possible?
I think the first thing's content and building a personal brand. It's the thing that takes the longest. So if you can start soon, like the best day to start was yesterday. The second best is today. So just get on with it. I then think a mentor probably trumps a course, especially when chances are your mentor's been on all of the courses and kind of done the reps anyway. Then like it's worthwhile doing. Um, and then I think a lead generation system, even if it's just the one, invest in something that works and can get you meetings. Because without sitting down and talking to people, especially in our space, the agency space, it's a challenge to sell to people if you're not sat down chatting with them. So do that and then do the reps. I've already lost count. Was that three?
Yeah, that was three. I'll help you out with the fourth. So
Go
I
on then.
would say learning on the job, right? So
Yes.
just solely worrying about client acquisition rather than service delivery. I've had, 10, 20 mentees at this point, and the ones I've seen the most successful, they don't give a flying fuck about the service delivery. Now, yes, that's going to sound bad, right? But at the end of the day, you need that money in, then you can invest in, a coach, for example. Like, I know a lot of people invest in this guy, Jimmy Mitchell, for Google ads, or, my buddy Alex Rosted for Guide or Meta ads. Okay. And then you're going to be able to deliver that service way better than you ever would have if you just tried to wing it yourself or just focused on it, building the best possible thing that you could have thought of, by yourself. And at the end of the day, you don't have a business unless there's money in the door. So that's something that I'd really focus on, is just getting money in the door, client acquisition, booking appointments, hiring a closer, or even doing the closing yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think to add on to that, people are very scared to do a guarantee initially. I think it's one of the best things you can do because it puts you all back up against the wall. Like you're gonna have to give this person a full refund if you don't pull your finger out and make this work. I can't think of more motivation. Once you've got that client, you've got some money to spend. Let's make it work for them. If you don't sleep for a month to get it to work, just do it and make it work. And then forevermore, you've got that service delivery and that skill set is hard to recreate if you're not actually doing this. Like, are you going to run Facebook ads for yourself to try and get, I don't know, roofing clients? Like, no, but you've got somebody else's money to spend. You can sit and ask them and quiz them on what they know that works, like language wise and stuff like that, and then deliver it. Um,
hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, no, 100%. And in terms of your TikTok videos, just going back to that, is there a way you kind of structure them to get the maximum amount of views, the HSP formula, hook story payoff, hook story call to action, anything that you kind of do to really accelerate that growth?
I think the main thing is the hook. You want you want something flashy, exciting to start with. Normally, it's an audio hook and then a visual hook. Um, if you can tie the two together, like normally, I start it with a question or a statement about like, let me show you this amazing automation while I'm moving the automation around because people are like just so wired on TikTok that they need that kind of leveling of engagement. And I think, yeah, a payoff, a call to action and stuff is massively helpful. But if you just provide so much value, it doesn't matter if you've got a call to action. I haven't said a call to action in the last like 20 videos, and yeah, I'm still getting meetings booked. Just because people are capable of putting the two together. Yes, it helps you get some more likes and comments, and that boosts the video. But just by providing way more value, um, that's where the real value is, and the trick to growth is providing that value. And then yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Now I've got a couple more questions, but in a minute, what I'd like to do is some quick fire questions where I'll give you like basically a question and then you can just answer in one sentence.
Do you want to run through your story first for everyone?
Yeah, so yeah, my name's William Half. I run a 75K per month real estate marketing agency. We started around 2.5 years ago. We started in e-commerce, watching him and Gadzi. Then we found Charlie Morgan, started doing gyms. Then we got our first mentor, Eric Kavlars, and we did real estate. Fortunately, the service delivery wasn't too good. We were inundated with chargebacks. And luckily, this year we got our second mentor, and we essentially solved that kind of service delivery problem. So yeah, we are currently flying, and yeah, going to have a big Q1 this year. And run the agency. It's myself and my business partner Sam Whiteman. We currently have 12 employees all across the globe. Comes a couple in England, a couple in America, a couple in Kazakhstan, a couple in the Philippines, and yeah, that's essentially my story. Uh, what else have I done? I graduated with a first from Uni of Nottingham, finance and accounting. Um, yeah, like the gym. Yeah,
What
that's essentially my story. Yeah.
what made you decide to kind of go down the partnership route instead of setting off on your own?
So yeah, interesting question. So we actually met. I was completely off my face at a house party, and then I met Sam. We both liked the gym, and then we both started getting into Iman Gadzhi around summer of 2022. Right? We first saw Tate, then we saw Iman Gadzhi, and we're like, all right, let's give this agency thing a try, right? And one thing I'd say about partnerships is don't force it. So don't pick, your number one childhood best buddy. That's always going to end badly. You need it to come naturally. Okay. This is the one thing that I would really, really recommend because I've seen so many different partnerships where when the going gets tough, one of them just can't hack it. And one of them just, their interest diverge into something else. Maybe they get into a relationship. Maybe they get bored of SMA. Maybe they get shiny object syndrome. They see crypto pumps. They invest all of their time on that. You've got to be very, very short and a very good judge of character. But yeah, that's what I would say about having a partner. A lot of other successful agency owners that I know are in a partnership, just because of the workload. Yes, you can hire people, but if you have someone in a partnership, then they're fully focused on it. They're getting a lot of money. It's their business as well, and they're going to be online dusk till dawn. You can call them anytime. That's what a good partnership should be. Um, but yeah, that's what I'd say about partnerships. Very lucky to have Sam there, and very lucky to meet the right person at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the biggest mistake that you made during your SMA journey?
I don't make mistakes. No, biggest mistake was I'd say putting too much trust in certain people that were outside our kind of jurisdiction and control. Um, we've had a couple issues recently, but they're all solved now. But yeah, don't give people too much leverage over you, whether it's clients, other people who you may trust, anything that can kind of affect your service. If you don't completely trust them, you haven't met them in real life, then yeah, just be very careful because things can come tumbling down pretty quickly. And yeah, that's probably one of the mistakes that we've made. But yeah, second biggest mistake in terms of I think you mentioned it earlier, right? It was not learning from things that we were doing wrong. So we were doing 30 automated looms, not even automated, like face-to-face looms. This is when I was on my own in Milton Keynes for 5 months straight. Every single day, I'd sat down like a complete idiot. Yeah, for like 30 minutes, half an hour, record these personalized looms. We got one client in 5 months. Both being my business partner were doing it. Complete waste of time. We should have seen after the first month. Look at the metrics. This shit isn't working. So yeah, you got to act quickly. If you've got enough data points, you see it's not working, you either to change something about the process or completely change the whole process.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Data is kind of one of the biggest things that to analyze and look at. We've literally just done this again recently. We've worked out exactly how many cold emails we need to send in order to get an interested meeting, and then basically we're able to scale that for clients, and we can pretty much guarantee that like if we send X number of emails, we get X number of results, and now that's become a much easier package to sell because we can kind of pretty much guarantee exactly the results that we're getting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, I did have some kind of quick fire questions for the both of us. But yeah, I'll just rattle them off. First question: would you rather have a few high ticket clients or do a trawler net approach and have just take on anyone and anyone?
Few high ticket, definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think ideally you'd have a few high ticket, but in reality, you just got to do the trawler net. For a lot of industries, it's going to be very expensive and very tough to find those top players and those really good clients who are going to pay you a lot of money. So I think it's a conundrum that, we've been tossing and turning with it over here at Stately Consulting. I'm sure a lot of you guys in an ideal world would have, two, three clients and get paid 50K a month, right? I know one of my buddies, George, he has eight clients, he's on 100K a month. Um, I know another guy, he's in China Mortgage in a circle called Jaden. He gets paid 200K for, just from one client, right? For 3 months work. So yeah, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. One of the opportunities that have come up from us from actually TikTok was a gentleman who's bought back his business, but in the process has lost his whole entire sales team. So now wants us to do his sales team, like basically manage the sales of the whole entire company. Um, and we get a 50% cut on any of the products that we close. So that from a one person, one business that is really high ticket. Yes, we've got to pay on results basically, but at the end of the day, we can literally write our own checks of that as much revenue that we bring in and close and basically manage a whole entire team around it with skills that we've already developed to do this for somebody on 50 quid a lead. Uh,
Mm,
we're now looking at selling 20 grand packages and getting a 50% commission on it. Like, let's just
big.
sell a couple of them a month.
Exactly, bro. That is big. Okay, next one, best outreach method in 2025, Q1.
Cold email.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I suppose if you do average all the niches out at the end of the day, cold email still comes out superior.
I just think it's a great one to start with because of the cost of it. You can, like, we probably spend, oh, we spend thousands of pounds on emails and are sending thousands a month. In fact, thousands a day. We do about 6,000 emails a day. But off the back of that, we can like consistently book like eight or so meetings off the back of that. Um,
Yeah.
if not, if not more, we probably get around 15 positive replies a day. Um, and then we can turn them into eight or so booked meetings, if not more. But for the cost of that, I'd like to see you try and do that on Facebook ads or literally any other method. So from a starting point of view, don't get me wrong, there's a massive learning curve, but if you can smash that, then you wouldn't really need to look much further.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Yeah, I'd say for me, cold SMS. Obviously, I'm in real estate. A lot of guys who are doing HVAC, home improvement, that's going to be the kind of one that you can go for there. Obviously, cold calling. We got rich off cold calling, so I've always got a kind of a love for that. Okay,
That's
biggest win.
interesting because you are right. It's very industry specific. Like if we were to email HVAC companies, we're probably going to see less of a result than we are SMS. So I guess really it depends on your niche.
Mm, yeah, yeah, true, true. Okay, biggest red flag in a new client when you're on the onboarding call.
There's two ends of this spectrum. It's the ones who don't care at all and just like, why isn't it done already? And then the ones that are asking like a million questions and want to know exactly what the message copy is going to be, exactly like every single specific, and have a complete panic over it. As, with the automation builds, one of the biggest learning curves for me was the fact that we were basically automating systems. So for them, they do X and Y happens. They don't get to see any of that process. So for people who like to micromanage every single element, it actually doesn't suit them at all. They want to be able to see every single element and make sure that this is being done right. And like they're not bothered about the output. They want to know that every single element has been done right to create
Mm,
the output instead of just looking at that. So we've gone from the process of basically being like, yeah, brilliant, awesome. Your project will be done in 2 weeks, and then like we'll just hand it over to them to sending them some people daily looms to tell them
Mm.
exactly what we've done to update it. And they can be sometimes complete nightmare clients because they want to know everything and exactly how all of it works and can be completely anal about it all. But then you've got the other side of it where there's some people who just are completely unfazed, not really interested in being there, and they're
Yeah.
often the ones that pay late, like and all of the other things that come with it.
Interesting. So I've done around 200 onboarding calls. We have a very high churn kind of system at the moment. And out of those 200 onboarding calls, the ones that are the worst are mediocre clients, but they're arrogant. They think they are the best. They're telling me how many deals they close. They're saying, if you give me a good lead, I'll stay with you guys forever. These are my experience of the worst clients because they don't know, they overestimate their ability. So they think they've got the best sales ability ever, and it's got to be the system. Okay.
Yeah,
Whereas with, worse agents, they know their shit. And then with the top guys, they understand the reality of lead generation, and not every single lead is going to convert to, a deal, listing, client, whatever. Um,
yeah, we've got a couple of them that are like, oh yeah, we'll easy close 1 in 2. We close 50%, and then you look at the stats after a month, and they're like, oh, all of these leads are terrible. It's like chances are you can't actually close 1 in 2, can you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Precisely, bro. Precisely. Um, yeah, final question. Iman Gadzhi or Andrew Tate?
Andrew Tate.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Do you
Great
know what?
stuff.
E-Man's actually one that I haven't particularly gone down that rabbit hole. I don't know why. Um, like big fan of Charlie Morgan, and to be fair, Tate. But E-Man's just one that I haven't gone down that rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
yeah, yeah. I believe he's more for a younger audience. People who, yeah, I mean, we started on him when we were younger, so that's why I've got that conclusion. But yeah, we've got to hop on a coaching call right now. But yeah, thank you very much, Dan. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. I'll talk to you soon.